What was your I was only gone X minutes, what the hell happened story? I was in middle school. I went to the bathroom because the lesson was boring me out of my mind. You know, I was 12 and stayed there for 10 minutes. While I was returning to class, I saw 2 cops dragging 2 of my classmates. They were handcuffed and visibly terrified. Found out some time later that they were arrested for drugs. And the cops came in the class and handcuffed them right there. Edit. Just a detail. They were both 15. Because they had to repeat 2 years. Still, IDK how people manage to repeat 2 years of middle school. I was watching TV and went to my room to get my phone charger. I was gone max 2 minutes. When I got back, a goat was on the coffee table. It scared the shit out of me. Went to work one day. I literally lived right across the street from my job. So I walked to work each day. By the time I got to work, my boss told me I needed to go back home. It was an emergency. Apparently my power had been cut off. My stepdad had flipped and scared the shit out of my siblings. And attempted to kill my pregnant mom. Left the mail room to go get my wipes to clean off the scanner glass. Was gone 3 minutes. Came back to find the entire mailroom coated in toner. And a toner covered co-worker just standing there looking confused and alarmed. Never even asked. Just went to get our boss to go deal with it. Edit. Thanks for the gold 00. Double edit. Gold is on a comment down the chain. Brazil suddenly conceded 5 goals. I grew up in the country. One day in high school, I came home, made myself a snack, and then went back outside to eat my snack on the deck. When I got home, the yard was empty. When I came back out, there was a zebra in the yard. And that's how we found out the new neighbors ran an exotic animal petting zoo. And that they weren't very good at it. They lived there for a couple years. And we got really nonchalant about that zebra getting out. My grandma came to visit once and came in all in a tizzy about it. I think it was even more shocking when our response was basically that damn zebra again. First day of summer break after grade 7, I went to a skate park with a few friends. And one of their dads drove us all. He went to get a coffee and said, "Don't break anything until I get back," and I did not listen. I went down a quarter pipe and broke both my radius and ulna on my first try. He got back and I was sitting on a bench holding my crooked arm. Edit. Had a 4-day weekend and came back to a million replies. My mother did not help me. I learned to use old lefty. Turned away from a closed pizza box to get plates. Turned back and my cat was running off with a piece. Back in 2008, when everyone was getting $600 tax rebate checks in the mail, I left mine and opened on my coffee table. Went to use the restroom and when I got back I saw the envelope chewed in half and my dog nowhere to be seen. Somehow my miniature Dachshund puppy got up on the coffee table, picked through all my other mail to find this specific one, chew it up and run under a bed, all in about 1 minute. I had to tell the IRS that my dog chewed up my rebate check, which was funny. I experienced being hunted by a tow truck in Chicago. A friend and I were delivering a couple big monitors to his apartment. We pulled around behind the building but he didn't have the key for the back door, so we quick ran around front and came out the back door of his apartment to see the car gone. Like not going. Or the tow truck loading up the car. It was gone. We couldn't have taken more than 90 seconds. Comcast and FedEx both left a "just missed you" on my door when I was gone for 5 minutes to shower during the latter quarter of a 5-6 hours time frame. I have a 2-year-old. The other day, I ran to the bathroom and he was sitting down, pacified with Daniel Tiger and homemade trail mix. I came back, probably 2 minutes later, to find a mushroom cloud of flour and him standing on top of a bookshelf with a closed jar of peanut butter and covered in flour. My ex drank too much white wine one night. After we got back to my apartment, I quickly went down the street to grab him some Gatorade or whatever. I was gone maybe 10 minutes. Tops. My brother calls me up. We lived together at the time. While I'm walking back and angrily tells me, "You need to get back here now." No details about what's wrong or anything. So I walk into the door of our apartment to find my ex passed out, completely naked. He had clothes on when I left, on the floor between our bathroom and kitchen. My brother pointed ominously toward the bathroom. In the 10 or so minutes I was gone. My ex had somehow managed to smear it all over himself and every surface in my bathroom. We're talking everywhere. The sink, the shower curtain, the back of the door, the walls, the toilet, even his hair and face, all covered in itty handprints. It took me the rest of the night to bleach the hell out of everything. I've never seen anything like it in my whole life and it haunts me to this day. The next day, my brother and one of his friends taped newspaper all over the walls and floor in the bathroom because clearly my ex wasn't housebroken. Stupid ex was offended. It was hilarious. I was cooking dinner one night. I let the dog off his lead in the backyard and went back to cooking. I was only gone for 2 minutes. When I went back outside, the neighbor's bull mastiff killed my dog and was making his escape. I was too stunned, too hurt to do anything. I reported the neighbor to animal control and the offending dog was taken away. Ever since it's been a daily contest of wills. Me wanting to throw bricks at the guy's house. I have an internal conflict every day. Months later, and still do. He was the best dog I ever owned. A little over a year ago, my now husband and I were prepping for a move and needed to take a handful of garbage bags to the dumpster in our apartment community. We patted each of our dogs, a 7-year-old mini schnauzer and a 16-year-old rat terrier. 2 small dogs. This is very important later on the head and headed out. Less than 5 minutes later we come back. Both of the dogs meeting us at the door with wagging tails and big smiles. All seems perfect until we round the corner into the dining room. One of the dogs shat clear up 2 walls, about 4.5 feet up across about 6 feet wide worth of wall. I was laughing too hard to clean it up. The husband saved the day and cleaned it up, but with such force and distance. We can only imagine the absolutely gut-wrenching noise that dog, still not sure which one, had to have made when it did its big business. We were seriously only gone 5 minutes. We now refer to it as the poopening of 2015. Just last night, after putting the kids to bed and having a bit of a workout, my wife told me to shower off and get to the bedroom. I jumped in the shower, scrubbed up, rinsed and was out in a matter of minutes. She was already asleep. There's nothing more fun than trying to go to sleep once the launch sequence has been initiated. I live above the pizza place that I work at. I'm also full-time in college. Last night they called me in just for an hour or 2 to help close. No big deal. After a full school day and going into work for a bit, I was exhausted. I walked up the stairs and into my apartment. There was new decorations everywhere. My furniture was gone. And my bedroom door was open. I screamed holy duck and kicked open the door to see who was in my room. I was only gone for an hour. How could someone move in and move out all my shit? As I made contact with a girl laying in bed watching Netflix, I realized I was on the 2nd floor, not the 3rd floor. The apartment below me has the exact same layout as mine. And this girl happened to have her door unlocked like I usually leave mine. Multiple roommates. I simply said oops, wrong room and ran back to my room. I'm going to go down today and apologize for scaring that poor girl half to death at 11 PM. My dog followed me to the door and then I shut it. Was in there for about 45 seconds. Then opened the door to find puddles of dog diarrhea all over the living room. Fell asleep on the couch for like 10 minutes. I swear. Woke up to mayhem. 2 toddlers had scribbled all over the walls. The younger one had begun scribbling with crayon. And the older one, 3, became upset he was breaking the rules. So she grabbed a pencil and began marking gigantic X's as large as she could make. You cannot draw here or here or here. I woke up to the entire 1st floor covered in pencil X's and crayon scribbles everywhere. Back in grade 11, I had my friend and his girlfriend come over to hang out on a night that my parents went home. The worst part was that we weren't drinking. We were all playing Mario Party. I got up and went to the bathroom for literally 30 seconds. I come back and they are completely naked and ducking on my bed. Was at work. Went outside to grab a smoke. Come back in and one of the receptionists that I had a crush on is blushing and everyone else is laughing. I ask what happened and they let me know that she got her belly button pierced the night before and wanted to show everyone, but was wearing a dress. She decided to flip up her dress to show everyone anyway, and forgot she wasn't wearing any underwear. Still can't believe I missed that one. I was boiling water on an electric stove top. Seemed safe enough. Left for 30 seconds. Came back. Entire stove was on fire with 2-foot flames. Someone had let some oily food fall between the burner and the tin foil we keep underneath. Another 30 seconds and the kitchen would have caught fire. Have you ever raised a puppy? Years back I had a little thing celebrating my new apartment. Just a few close friends and a couple of not so close friends. We were having a good time. Drinks were being had and eventually the need for greasy takeout food was too strong to ignore. Everyone was pretty marinated, some more than others, but driving was out of the question. Me and my bro take everyone's orders and we stroll to the taco place around the corner. When we return, most everyone is on the porch having smokes. Everything seemed normal. When I walk into the apartment, there he is. We'll call him Waldo. Passed out on my couch, vomit running down the side of his face. Vomit dripping down my new couch. Vomit on my brand new rug. Apparently, when we left they started chigging whiskey, which obviously didn't agree with old Waldo. I only went for tacos. If you have had small kids, this question has come to your mind more than once. The one stuck to my mind is when I was cooking dinner for my visiting sister and his BF. They were on their way to visit my 4-year and my pregnant ex-wife. I left the pan for 45 seconds to do something else and came to my 4-year vomiting over his own poop, strategically positioned in front of the entrance door, and my pregnant ex-wife vomiting over the pan because she couldn't deal with the smell sight. Oh, and my sister was ringing the doorbell. I had to call for a pizza. That Super Bowl where Janet Jackson was topless. Well, lucky me, I had to pee right before the halftime show fiasco because it was getting really boring. I whipped my dinghy out and everybody started screaming and hooting and I had a mini heart attack and peed on the back of the toilet. Now anytime I feel myself get bored I think about that day and it forces me to stick through the boredom in case there is suddenly boobies. So, my wife is pregnant right now. First trimester is pretty exciting. We were at our friend's house, and I was helping my bro cook some burgers. Wife was hanging out in the kitchen with my buddy's wife, and was holding their baby. I'm walking back and forth between the grill and the kitchen. Get a fork. Get a plate. Oh, get that seasoning. etc. etc. Anyway, I'm in and out of the kitchen for less than a minute and see my wife puking into their kitchen sink, with the entire front of her clothes covered in baby poop. I guess their baby decided to drop the mother of all poop bombs right in my wife's lap. First trimester, so she's totally sensitive to smells and whatever. But she totally lost all of her cookies right in front of everyone at our friend's house. Was only gone 5 minutes. Missed 3 new versions of iPhone, Samsung Galaxy. I actually have that moment to my friends. I was outside at a house party and needed to pee. There was someone in the bathroom, so I told my friends I was going to go around to the side of the house to pee where no one could see. A few minutes later, I came back all bloody and dirty and they freaked out. What I didn't know was there was a steep ditch right next to the house. Being a female, if I pee outside, I try to support myself by doing a sort of wall sit so I don't wind up peeing on my legs or clothes. So I pulled my pants down and tried to do the wall sit on the side of the house. I was crazy drunk, so I lost my balance due to the incline of the ditch. Scraped myself up on the brick wall trying to catch myself and tumbled pants down in the ditch. I pulled myself up, went back to my friends and said, I think it's time for me to go home. I had a baby pet turtle. I left Sherman Myrtle in a Tupperware dish on my nightstand. I come back, maybe 5 minutes later. Turtle is on top of a separate dresser, out of his container. One night I was on my own and decided to make a nice meal for myself. I spent about half an hour preparing and baking a delicious chicken breast with sun-dried tomatoes and brie cheese. So I got everything ready, set up my dinner and my beer on the coffee table and sat down to eat and watch some TV. At this point my cat waltzed in and sat on the couch next to me. Then he dropped something out of his mouth next to me. I turned to look at it. It was a snake. Okay, no big deal. It's not a big one. So I got up and grabbed some snake wrangling tools, a dustpan and brush, and scooped this little guy up. I walked out the front door and tossed the snake back into the bushes. hoping the cat won't go after it again. I was gone for about 15 seconds. I came back inside and my dinner was gone. The cat was under the table, hunched over a half-eaten chicken breast, and growling every time I came near. And that's the first time my cat distracted me with a snake in order to steal my dinner. Just today, a friend of mine went to the toilet and when she came back her boyfriend had dislocated his elbow and been sent to the hospital. Several years ago, I was in the process of making dinner and had left a plate of flour tortillas on the kitchen bar. Went out to the garage with my husband for about 90 seconds to look at something. Hear a very loud thud from kitchen. That thud was our dog jumping down off the bar, and now standing in the middle of the kitchen, wolfing down flour tortillas like they were going out of style. What makes it funny is that our bar is about 42 inches high, and the dog was a basset hound. A freaking fat stubby-legged basset hound. To this day, we still can't figure out how he got up there or how he got down without breaking a leg. One night in college I left my apartment to go to a party at my girlfriend's place. I headed over early, maybe to just hang out and drink beer because college girl parties are weird and dumb and start at 11 for no goddamn reason. But I digress. About an hour later I realized I'd forgot my weed. So I walked back to my place. I hear music thumping and figure there's no way it's my apartment. My roommates weren't big party people. Get outside the door and it's def my place. I open the door. The lights are off. A strobe light is going. Weird techno-ish music is blasting. Most of the dudes present are shirtless, seemingly tripping balls, and totally covered in red paint for some reason. Unintelligible yelling in my direction as I walk in. Just need my pot, you guys have fun, I have to go now, bye bye. Not gone per se, but asleep. I was flying lax SFO. My flight was delayed about 5 hours, so I did what any sensible frequent traveler does. I went to the club lounge and drank as much free bourbon as they would allow. We finally boarded the plane. I was in one of the first groups because again I fly ALIT. So, by the time we take off I'm fast asleep. The captain comes on the intercom and says don't panic. Seatbelts on etc. Drunkenly I look out the window to see some smoke. And holy if there's smoke in the cabin. The lady next to me explains we have only been in the air 10 minutes and are about to make an emergency landing in Santa Barbara. When I went to the bathroom for the first time during calculus, holy duck was that a mistake. First baby, wife has never left our little girl but decides to run an errand leaving me, dad, alone with her. I assure wife all will be well in her short absence. Kid is sleeping in my arms. All is quiet. Give wife a kiss and she heads out the door. Walk back to sofa with sleeping kid. Notice kid could use a diaper change. Set baby on changing table. I take off old diaper. Baby wakes up. Proceeds to erupt with a volcano of projectile diarrhea. It's all over me. Changing table. Wall. I panic. Pick up baby still hemorrhaging an unending spray of baby turd mist. Take her to the kitchen sink and flip on water. Water is cold. Set baby in sink. Baby screams like a demon. Wife opens the door. Forgot her purse. It all over the walls and floor. Desperate it covered husband wrestling with desperate freezing it covered baby. Wife was gone maybe 90 seconds. Maximum. I left my 2-year-old twins for 2 minutes. They were happily glued to the TV and I thought it was the perfect opportunity to sneak to the kitchen and finish making my coffee. They continued being quiet and I found it strange as they normally come and follow me when I leave the room. I came back and there was soil scattered all over my carpet. One was feeding the other a plant. Baby powder everywhere. I'm talking in the silverware drawer, under the couch, inside the couch, on top of the pictures frames. It clogged, broke the vacuum. I slipped on a thin layer of it trying to get the vacuum out of the closet. Baby powder on tile is very dangerous. I hate baby powder. I was working on my senior chemistry project in college. Brought samples down to the NMR room for analysis. Forgot something upstairs. Ran up to grab it. Came back down and found a metal folding chair stuck to the instrument. An NMR is similar to an MRI machine in that it is a gigantic sensitive magnet that metal should never be near. In this time I went upstairs, another student thought she had left a sample probe in the instrument. Couldn't eject the probe. and brought the chair over to look down into the instruments to find it. Chair got stuck to the instrument and she had to find my professor to remove it. Luckily the magnet did not quench upon chair removal. I got up to get salsa and when I returned my plate was upside down on the floor and both of my microwave burritos were missing. And my cat was nowhere to be found. I left a patient who was not confused alone for like 5 minutes. Came back to all 3 IVs ripped out. Blood and pizza sauce everywhere. While the incredibly obese patient hiked his leg over the bed rails, firing it all over the floor and screaming, "Bombs away, Jesus ducking Christ." My girls were like 4 and 6 years old. One summer evening I left them at home with their dad while I ran to the store to pick up a few things. I couldn't have been gone an hour. When I pull into the driveway and get out of the car I can hear both girls screaming and their dad roaring. I sigh SND, straighten my shoulders and walk into the house braced for whatever disaster is awaiting me. I go through the front door, round the corner and see my husband lying in the hallway holding his head. His roars have subsided to a painful groaning. I hear scuffling behind the girls' closed bedroom door. I step over my husband's prone form and burst into the bedroom and catch the girls in the process of climbing out their bedroom window. I got everyone settled down and finally got the story out of them. It seems my husband thought it would be hilarious to scare the girls, so he got out the scream mask, put it on and tiptoed down the hall and stuck his head through the half-open door. Before he could make any scary sound, the 6-year-old glanced up and saw him and immediately leapt to her feet and slammed the door, pinning his head. And he recoiled from that impact. He staggered backward, cracking the back of his head on our bedroom door frame and collapsed to the floor. The girls were planning to escape next door. The moral of the story is don't mess with defenseless little girls. Sometimes they'll duck you up. A regular day in the gym. Was working out my back. A couple guys were doing flat bench and shooting the it. I had to go take a leak. Was gone for 2 minutes. Tops. Come back to see one of the guys sporting a pec tear with a spectacular purple bruise blossoming on it. He was crying, practically bawling while a doc tended to him. Turns out, while ego benching, he tried to do 405 and paid the price. I wanted to try tattooing. Bought a gun, practiced on some oranges and stuff. Had some friends come over and one of them volunteered to get a simple little bomb done on him. Did it. Turned out good. Went for a smoke break for 5 minutes and then came back into the rest of the guys tattooing themselves with the same damn needle. One of them tattooed a circle on their arm by literally holding it like a child holds a crayon and just did overlapping circles. Imagine you do a light sketch with a pencil to make a circle, and the other tattooed his ex-wife's name across his forearm in a similar fashion. Started okay but slowly got bigger and worse near the end of the name. Serious WTF moment. I was asleep and woke up to the sound of my husband shouting frustratedly at his son, who was 16 at the time. More than you've just waded through knee-deep water, out through your bedroom, down the hallway. You tell me, mate, why do you think the Wi-Fi isn't ducking working? I smiled for a second before I realized that, our little bungalow has flooded. I went out to get the mail and when I come back everyone is scrambling to get dressed to go to the hospital because my sister's water had broke. When my daughter was around 3.5, I picked her up from daycare on my way home from work. Walked in the door and set her down in the living room to play while I put the mail I had grabbed on the way into the house on the table in the kitchen, which was less than 10 feet away. I dropped the mail on the kitchen table, turn around and walk back into the living room and she's butt naked. It was literally less than 5 seconds. I'm still amazed when I think about it. I can't even get my shoes off that fast. It was bath time for my 2 kids when they were about 2 and 6. Alkalan. Fished the 2-year-old out, dried him off, put pajamas on and sent him on his way. Fished 6-year-old out, dried him, put pajamas on, then headed out to the living room. Discovered 2-year-old with face covered in red Sharpie spots. He was alone for perhaps 45 seconds. He'd recently seen an episode of Fireman Sam where Naughty Norman does this to fake having measles. I wasn't technically gone. I turned my head for, literally, or 3-5 count. I was at the pool with my daughter. She's 2. Doesn't care how to swim. But this is a graded pool. where the depth slowly inclines up to a shore-like edge. She was jumping up and down, splashing in the puddles, and I was sitting about 10 feet away watching her while talking to a friend. I was watching her and talking when he said something funny and I turned to give him a look. I looked back and my daughter, in a matter of a few seconds, had taken a few steps to deeper water, about 1.5 to 2 ft, and was under the water, silently rolling around. I never cleared 10 feet so fast in my life. I scooped her up and set her on her feet. It was shallow enough to stand. I'm guessing she just lost her footing and couldn't right herself and panicked. No coughing up water. Barely a sputter. She was fine. But man, when they say it can happen in seconds, they aren't kidding. Whoever they are. I was barely fazed by it too. We continued our day like normal. My friend said, "I know you're okay now, but it's gonna hit you later. If you need to talk, call me." He was right. That night I replayed events in my head and kept thinking. I looked away for a second. What the hell happened? I just couldn't get the image of her flailing so silently in the water out of my head. No one else noticed her. What if I hadn't? I cried pretty hard at the idea of losing her to such a tragic accident and vowed to be much more vigilant at the pool or any other body of water. I also got her a life jacket that she hates wearing. The end. My father-in-law left his 3 grown kids, their spouses, and the grandkids in the living room watching a Disney movie and having a nice time. In the minute he was out in the yard, we had gone from laughing and enjoying to the grandchildren freaking out and sobbing, the adult women crying, and the adult men looking every which way trying not to cry. He was quite confused. "Damn you, Bing Bong.